Like, we can use it live.
Okay.
I can use it.
Am I trying not to curse for this? I can't promise anything, but am I trying?
No, I swear like a sailor.
Yeah.
And
All right,
I have said controversial shit that Steven just leaves in. It's great.
It's fair. Welcome, everyone, to the Survivor Turning Back Time podcast. I am your host, Stephen Labine, with, as always, my co-host, Jared Sheldon. Jared, how you doing?
I'm ecstatic, Steven.
And special guest on our podcast, we have Dan Ween from the Unranked Podcast. Dan, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing good.
Yay! Dan, tell us about yourself for anyone who doesn't know you.
Let's see. I am on the Unranked Podcast. I also work in television, and I have watched every single season and episode of Survivor up to this point in time. So I should be a knowledgeable source for whatever's about to happen here.
Yeah, so Dan is joining me on the side of has seen a lot of Survivor, and we have Jared on the side of has not seen very much Survivor.
Yeah.
I feel like we're only going to get people on your side as guests. We're not going to get people who are like, I've never seen a day of Survivor. Let's jump into season 4.
Let's bring in a stranger. Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, until May of 2020, I hadn't seen much more of Survivor than I think I'd seen season 37 on or something like that. And then during the pandemic, I had 2 months of just nothing to do but watch Survivor. So I started from episode 1 and just let it run.
Yeah, I was going to say, what could have possibly happened to let you have lots of time to watch every single Survivor?
We all clearly had so much going on in May of 2020. Now, the best thing for podcasts is visual bits.
Sure.
Steven, I did get you something.
Oh, God, no.
And I just wanted you to know.
Oh, my God!
On the wall.
Okay, hold on. I need to show this to Dan here on the video. It's a framed picture of BB from season 1. BB, who was on
Oh, my God. I forgot about that.
2 episodes.
Oh, my Lord.
The patron saint of the Survivor Turning Back Time
beautiful.
podcast.
And I
gotta say,
shelves.
after watching 43 seasons of Survivor, or midway through 43, I had forgotten about BB.
And I just got floating shelves, too, so this is going straight up on there when I put that
He's
up.
he's definitely in the no way he's still alive club, right?
Oh, no, he passed away.
Yeah, he died, but man, was his time on Survivor my favorite.
He survived much better on Survivor than he did in real life.
Fair. Absolutely fair.
That is technically
Although
true.
he was pretty, he actually lived pretty long. He wasn't that great in this show, right? So I mean, maybe it was
he
better.
was terrible.
He self-sabotaged and tried to get himself
He might come
off.
back. Is he on another season?
No, he's
I
not.
feel
You're
like he
thinking of
ended up coming
Rudy.
back on a season.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Rudy comes back.
There's a bunch of people they bring back for other seasons. This show recycles people like no other. And shares with like Big Brother, and like they're all like intertwined, and it's fun, I guess, for some people.
CBS shows are incestuous. They just say, "Oh, you were on that show? Oh, let me put you on this show now."
Are we saying that CBS had the first multiverse?
Ooh.
I don't know if it counts for reality TV because they're all in our own universe to start.
That is a good point.
A likely story.
Okay, so before we get digging into the episode and our episode 1 deep dive into all these pictures of these goofy faces, Dan, you already talked a little bit about your history with Survivor. You've watched every single episode. We were just watching the episode 2 of season 43, which just came out tonight. We've finished watching that. We are recording immediately after. What do you notice? Because you watched the first episode of season 2 this morning. What do you notice the biggest differences between the two?
I from the couple of notes I took down that would refer to this, Jeff Probst looked like a human back in season 2, and now he looks like a robot wearing a human skin.
We love Botox.
He has had so much work done on his face.
Oh God,
it is creepy. Like it's actually jarring to look back and go, he looked like a normal guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not good. If you've had a plastic surgeon work on you, you should fire that plastic surgeon. That is not what you're looking for. Just get old naturally. It's so much better.
That's my stance on it.
Yeah.
Is I work in theater and entertainment, and I know that people very much disagree with me, but you look best when you don't fight the aging process. If you just say, hey, what's going to happen is going to happen.
Do you think if the trend of, like, dad bods and, like, dads being sexy, quote unquote, had happened sooner, he would have just let himself age into that?
No, because I don't think he didn't get fat, really. He just kind of got, like, I think he was like
silicone.
He wanted like a facelift, and then he wanted like 6 more or something. There's also a running theory I have with my friends that he's been replaced by a robot at some point, and he's literally just wearing a fake skin over that, and over time it just starts sagging a little bit. So it's kind of like going in the creases of the robot mechanics.
Or maybe he wanted a different life, and so we're talking about a face-off situation.
It could be a face-off situation. It would make more sense than whatever he did to his face.
Okay. Also, who's your way too early 43 winner? Feel free to take
the winner's edit picks.
Yeah. For 43.
We've been calling him. Well, there's 2. So we've been calling him either. It's going to be Ellie with 1 L because my friend is married to an Ellie with 2 L's.
Okay.
So he calls her Ellie with 1 L. And then, or Woo.0, which is the guy who kind of looks like Woo, who, Jared, you don't even know yet. The long-haired Asian man. I don't know his real name, which is terrible. Owen, maybe? I think it's Owen.
It is
Owen.
But
he said he was a lot like Woo, and so he got the nickname right away from us, Woo.0. I also like Nerd Woo.
Nerd Woo.
Nerd Woo.
Nerd Woo. I'm big into Jesse. I think Jesse is the level-headed and intelligent enough to make it go far.
Is he the former gang member?
Yes.
Okay.
I like him.
Just realized this episode he had the giant scar on top of his head.
Yeah.
That was painful.
Oh.
It's there's a lot of interesting people in this season of Survivor of 43.
Yeah.
I sitting watching the second episode, they're really trying to pull the heartstrings early, and they did it a little too much for my taste.
They've been doing that since the pandemic episodes where they had to do features for everyone. And it's kind of something that happens in television where I feel like it's an older generation that loves these little featurettes. And I could not care less. I just want to see the action.
I don't mind, like, if it comes up naturally, but if you're trying to force it in there and...
You mean like the story... Well, I don't want to spoil too much because Jared, you didn't see it, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting. My dad...
Basically, one of the guys, they had a featurette on him because he had a friend that lost a leg. So he basically has gone through it himself.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was wild. And we had the full flashback with somber music and everything. It was too
honestly
much.
We could have had a nice 80-minute episode if it weren't for that thing. So
True. we dabble into 90 minutes and not 2 hours, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the 90. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get started with our episode.
All right. So this first season of episode 2 came out on January 28th of 2001.
A simpler time.
A simpler time.
Truth.
I pulled a few things that happened during that month, rather than just like from this specific day. So earlier in the month, Gladiator wins a Golden Globe. So you could see Gladiator in the theaters when Survivor Season 2 came out.
Oh, damn.
Or just around then. The 2000 Ravens win the Super Bowl.
On that weekend?
It's like a weekend before.
Oh, okay.
Probably early February.
They were playing in January. I think it was I think that's when they had a 14 games. No, that'd be 16.
No,
games.
it was still 17 weeks.
I don't know why that was in January. All right.
It could have just been a weird year.
Because it was No, I think it was on the 28th, actually. I think it was this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because this episode comes out after the Super Bowl.
Right. That's exactly what it is. They do the premiere right after the Super Bowl.
And Ray Lewis is the Super Bowl MVP. So if you're a football fan, the fearsome Ravens 2000 defense. Bush was inaugurated. And Al Chapo was I almost said reincarnated. Recaptured, rather. And the top song charting in the United States was "It Wasn't Me."
Oh, got me banging on the counter.
In UK,
I remember,
it was a Limp Bizkit song.
Yeah. That time I remember being nervous probably around that time because I had to start studying for my bar mitzvah, which was scheduled for September 15th, 2001, and went on as planned. So.
Okay.
Very perfect timing. Oops.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't. I guess it's probably hard to reschedule a bar mitzvah.
It probably is. At the same time, it took all the pressure off me. So,
there were bigger things in the world.
At best, it was going to be the second worst disaster that week. So,
Hey.
But this is January of 2001.
Yeah, we got some time.
The World Trade Center is still standing.
Although, if they're at the spring-fall premiere dates, then that fall one might be a little close.
That's going to be interesting.
I think they probably moved back the premiere for the fall season.
It probably did.
If I had to take a guess.
Yep. Anything else?
Nope, those are the big things that happened in January of 2000.
Cool. Then let's get into our favorite game. 2001.
Sorry, 2001. You're right.
Let's get into our favorite game. Who the hell are these people? We have pulled up a lovely photo of every single person on Survivor Australian Outback. I have to say Australian Outback because when I Google search Survivor Australia, Australia now has their own Survivor.
Yes, they do.
So they're about 6 seasons in, and apparently this newest one is Blood versus Water, which I kind of want to watch because I like Blood versus Water.
I think Australia might be the best country to run its own Survivor.
It definitely makes more sense because they have within their own country, it's a place where that you're not supposed to live, and it's a large area, so you can just kind of go for it.
You know in MMO how there's like leveled regions, like you don't go to that region until you're like level 20 because you'll just die right away. Australia is the final zone.
Yeah, don't go there. Just don't. Everything will kill you. I say this knowing I have so many Australian friends, and I've been to Australia, so I survived.
I mean, literally, though, like, the Outback, from what I understand, is there are parts of it that, like, no people have ever really lived. Like, the Aborigines even were like, that's kind of inhabitable.
Why would anyone go there and try to live there? That seems stupid.
It's a non-insignificant part of the country. It's pretty big.
Like, there's no water for, like, a lot of miles. Or I guess kilometers there.
Fair. Okay, we are starting off with the Kucha tribe. Kucha, I'm going to go in alphabetical order. If you're looking at this photo, which only the three of us are, Roger Bingham, 53, from Kentucky, an industrial arts teacher. He's at the top right of our screen. He's the one who was trying to build shelter, but was overruled quite a bit.
Yeah. Are we going to read them all off and then talk about them, or are we going to talk about Roger right now?
We'll go for initial reactions, like you did in the first season. If you see anything, if you want to call out his looks, anything that stuck out.
Roger
with a D.
Roger is the kindest man on this show, and also a human welcome mat.
Fair.
I don't remember, but he seemed nice in the first episode that I rewatched just earlier today.
Makes sense to me.
I forget what he does later on. If he gets later on, I don't even remember. I don't even remember who won the season, if that helps.
Oh, there you go. So then I'm the only one who knows who wins. This will be great. Nick Brown, 23, from Washington, a Harvard law student. He's down in our lower left corner.
We got a sane version of, oh my god, I've already forgotten his name. He's lost to us forever. The guy in the woods.
Greg?
Greg. I kept wanting to call him Jeff, and I knew that wasn't his name. We got a sane person of color version of Jeff. No. Greg.
Oh, just you wait. When we start mixing our Jeffs, that's going to be a problem.
That's a problem. That's why I keep thinking his name's...
That's why you got to call him Probst.
Probst.
Let's go with Probst.
I think the other guy gets a nickname, and I will start calling him by that nickname earlier than the show does. Moving on to Alicia Calloway. Oh, my lights just flickered. That's fun.
She was
Alicia
intense.
Calloway.
I remember her being intense. And she looked intense every second in this episode.
32 from New York, a personal trainer.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah. They have, because this is early Survivor, they bring on one person of color that is a man and one person of color that is a woman. Alicia,
they checked the boxes.
They literally did the token. They're like, yes, we've got our token black person on the show. Good. But yeah, Alicia seems really intense, and I'm excited for her.
Speaking of intense, we have Deb Eaton, 45 from New Hampshire, a corrections officer. Deb
with two B's.
Why does Deb always look like she's just eaten something that's sour?
I think that's just her face. I don't know. She was a corrections officer. Is that what her job was, or just a police officer? I forget.
Corrections, because they make note that Deb works in a male corrections facility. We'll talk about it in the episode, but like a lot of Deb's struggles come from like trying to be bigger and this
tougher,
image. This image of who she has to be.
Yeah,
I will say, I feel like might have been the inspiration for like Edie Falco's character on like Oz, which came out like either around the same time or like a year later, because like she's like the woman in the male correctional facility and has the same haircut and same demeanor. And I don't know if it's just that's a stereotype of women that work in male correctional facilities, or if she literally just used her as a building block for that character.
I took her as Discount Sue from season 1.
That's fair. I think Deb gets brought back too in another season. I think so.
I do not believe so. I know so because I had to do research.
Okay, so she doesn't. Okay.
No,
Deb's
wrong then.
Deb goes away. Elizabeth Filarski, 23 from Massachusetts, a footwear designer. Where did Elizabeth go?
She's the.
We literally can't even pick her out of a lineup. No, that's
I know
Kimmy.
which one she is.
That's
She's
Kimmy.
the one
Okay.
between Alicia and Jerry.
Oh, she's the one that was wearing at Tribal, wearing the crazy head thing. She had like this crazy like hair dress thing.
I think she's like, I'm a fashion person. I have to be all fashiony.
I'm interested to see how she does, because she seems like the least suitable person to survive in the Australian outback.
That is fair.
I feel like no one's really suited to survive in the Australian outback.
That's
and
true,
if I'm not
the
wrong,
Aborigines.
it becomes a part of the show.
Speaking of people who are not suited, Kimmy Kappenberg, 27, New York, a bartender.
Not just New York, Long Island. I know that accent well.
That is
Ooh.
specific. It is Long Island. Kimmy was my favorite person on this episode.
I will say, I wrote down immediately. She has been on multiple seasons for sure. But I wrote down immediately, Kimmy, I remember her being annoying from Long Island. That is my notes on her. She does start off as fun, and I think the joke never stops was the problem.
We do get a little glimpse of that. I was wondering if she was going to grate on me as the season goes, because like she has the moment in the episode, and we'll get there, like where they're all going to bed and she's being really loud, and I'm like, I would feed her to a crocodile. Yeah.
Well, good. There's options. They're right there. They showed a lot of them.
Right there.
Michael Skupin, 38 from Michigan, a software publisher.
That had to be quite a novel job in 2001.
There's been software since the 70s. It's not like,
true.
But it probably didn't entail what it entails today either.
Yeah, we'll talk more about.
He seems like a guy. I mean, on the first episode, you don't really get much of an impression, honestly, from him.
Oh, I got an impression from Michael.
Oh, you did? You got something? Okay, good.
Yeah. He takes up a lot of space this episode.
That's fair. I feel like I have to bring this up right away for anyone who is like may have trigger issues with this. Skupin is arrested later for possession of child porn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
It doesn't happen on the show.
It does not happen on the show. I don't know how he would get that there.
That was his luxury
It's
item.
just one person. It's one personal item he brought with him.
Oh god, that's
how they got him.
horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at him, like I get it. But yikes, man.
Yeah. So I feel like I just have to say that just up
Get
front.
out of the way.
There is part of me that wishes you wouldn't have told me, so
Yeah,
that
that's fair.
I wouldn't be looking at him through the lens of someone who traffics child pornography the whole season.
Don't worry, it's gonna get even weirder with how you view Scoopin'. So just I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay.
We have Jeff Varner, 34,
Varner.
from New York, internet project manager.
He's been on the show a number of times for sure.
Also a title that probably doesn't exist the way it did in 2001.
No, that job title has changed. I called him Diet Rich.
Diet Rich.
He's been, I think the latest season he was on might have been like the one where they had like the millennials versus Gen X versus whatever they had, Zillennials, I think, whatever that season was. I think he was on there just like part of Gen X, obviously.
I don't
He's
remember.
young in this episode, which I noticed. I was like, oh wow, he's young, because I've seen him older already.
Yeah, since we've popped the bubble and we know, I'm gonna call him Varner from here forward.
Everyone calls him Varner, refers to him as Varner.
Makes sense. It makes the Jeff.
takes
Saying
away the
both
Jeff
Jeffs
confusion.
would be a problem.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did
exactly.
honestly. He showed up, and I have Varner exclamation point. That's my note on him. So
I'm gonna just preface this before we go into the other tribe. That's all from Kucha. Moving on to Ogakor.
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 the name of the tribes is always like, why are you bothering with this nonsense? Just make them like blue and red, and I'll be happy. I don't care.
While we talk about these, I should look this up. I was going to, and I forgot. Usually they're in the native language.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is probably, I don't know what the language of the Aborigines
I guess I have a problem
is.
more with it now, because now they're in in the current state of the show. They've been in Fiji every season for a while.
Correct.
So just give up on it at that point.
Just stop.
You must be going through the Fijian dictionary at this point, just finding random words that sound cool.
Oh, come on. I love baka, just so I can make the internet memes.
Like a baka.
Sussy baka. Ogakor. We start with Amber. I don't know how to say this. Burkcht.
Amber, the Polish one.
Wait, I definitely don't understand your name. Hold on.
Brkich.
Isn't it like Burkich or something like that?
Yeah, it's probably.
I think it's Burkich. Yeah, Burkich.
No, that's Jerry. Amber is here.
Oh, I have never seen that person in my life.
Cool.
I guarantee she was there because I wrote. She is another one of these people who shows up later on, and so I was like, first Amber season.
Moving on to Colby Donaldson. I never said what Amber was from. Pennsylvania administrative assistant.
Wait, what was the town in Pennsylvania? Because they said it wasn't like Beaver something or other.
Yeah, it was Beavertown or Beaverton or something like that.
Yeah, something with beavers.
Yeah, and I was like, that's a weird name for a town. And they said Pennsylvania. I was like, yeah, it kind of fits. And
Colby Donaldson, 26, from Texas, an auto designer and builder. Colby.
he just looks like he's good at Survivor. Like
Oh,
no matter what, like
I
he just
miss.
looks like it.
I get confused when he's not wearing a hat.
I
mean, I know what he looks like, but
I wrote down that he's the new Joel.
Oh, okay. I see.
He
what you're saying.
just looks like Joel. He didn't do anything that made me go, "Oh, that guy's a douchebag." But he looks like
I
Joel.
loved his quote. His quote was great. I wrote the entire thing down. When they're putting his Texan flag up as like the cover for their shelter, he goes, "Well, I like it because when I wake up in the morning, there's two things I'm thankful for. I'm thankful I'm alive, and I'm thankful I'm a Texan." I feel like his personality is just he is Texas, and that is it.
We have
It's
Sandy
beautiful.
Cheeks, the Survivor contestant.
It's beautiful.
It honestly is.
What a dude.
He is Texas. That's it.
He is Texas. Keith Famey, 40, from Michigan. We have a lot of Michigan here
I know.
represented, and still no Minnesota. A restaurant owner and chef.
I'm sure I don't know where anyone's from really in general, so I'm sure there's some Minnesota at some point. There's been so many people on the show.
There has to be. Surely they've hit every
Maybe
state
they didn't
at
want to
least
make
once.
anyone from Minnesota try to survive the Outback.
That's fair. It's too drastic.
So
No lakes.
Keith looks like Tony Soprano mixed with the general manager of your local Pizza Hut.
I can see that. That's fair.
I also would have gone with Discount Emerald. Just throw in some bams, but he can't use it because that's probably copyrighted. So it's
I feel like
bang.
Keith doesn't translate too well to even 10 years later. He's already getting in trouble. Like he got in a fight with Jerry right away.
Truth.
Bossing women around. That's his personality.
Yeah, we'll get there.
It's not like there isn't any of that in Survivor ever.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Moving on to Kel Gleason, 32 from Texas, a captain in the U.S. Army.
Ah, yes, that's right. He's 32?
He's 32.
He looks like he's 17.
Okay, well, he was 32.
That's fair. He will continue to get older.
That is how time works.
He didn't, honestly, I was watching. I didn't even notice him in that episode.
Yeah, so this is what I'm discovering again as we do this tribal rundown, is that since Kucha's the one who ends up going to tribal, we meet all of them in much more detail.
That's true, yeah, because they're setting it up for
core.
like, here's the people that could possibly be going home, and they're not really paying attention to the others yet.
Yeah.
As it gets closer to the merge, it usually solves that problem because then they're all together, and you're like, okay, I know these people.
Yeah.
If there's a merge in that, I honestly don't remember if there's a merge in that season at all, but there has to be, right?
Yeah, there has to be at some point, I assume.
I mean, honestly, they have to end up with a final survive. So yeah, it has to merge.
Yeah. The whole time I was just thinking, this is right at the same time as Keenan and Kel. So.
Oh yeah.
He is Kel.
While it is, I think it's two very different audiences.
Correct. But
the Survivor audience is not a huge fan of orange soda.
I fit that weird Venn diagram of Keenan and Kel fans and Survivor fans. So here we are.
I wasn't at the same time, so I don't know if I can claim that.
Oh, okay.
Like, I didn't watch Survivor while I watched Keenan and Kel.
That's fair. We just had that moment. Marilyn Hershey, 51 from Virginia, a retired police officer.
Ah, yes. Her energy's interesting.
That's fair. That's a good.
We don't get a lot of her, but she seems like she's taking in everyone, and I don't know. I have my eye on her. She seems interesting.
She looks like the kind of person you would discount immediately, but she seems also like she knows what she's looking for / is at least trying to pick up on things, which is good.
Also, her headshot on this looks like she's on grandma dating.
It looks
site.
like she came straight off the cast of Golden Girls.
Yes,
like
yes,
100%
to get cast on Golden Girls.
Ooh,
she's not on Golden Girls.
She's B. Arthur. Yeah,
she's not
sure.
B. Arthur.
Oh, come on. Moving on to Jerry. Jerry Manathy, 30 from California, an aspiring actor.
Jerry with an I.
Jerry with an I.
I feel like it's important to note that. I don't know why.
Yeah, so Jerry is a season 1 contestant that's on season 2. Like, I feel like everyone that was in season 1 was an aspiring actor, regardless of what their other careers were, as we learned from the Where Are They Now? And this time they're like, oh, let's just get one of those. Let's just get one person that's here for the spotlight, and everyone else is actually here to play a game.
Literally, it's like okay, well, these people are going to be on TV, and this person's been trying to get on TV for years and couldn't really do it, so let's put them on.
Yeah, I have nothing more to say on that. Like, It could have been Rudy. Rudy applied. He said in the recap episode that he applied for season 2, but
how funny would that have been?
It would have been great. I would have loved that. Mitchell Olsen, 23 from South Dakota, a singer-songwriter. No, that's Mitchell. Sorry.
The fact that we couldn't tell which one was Mitchell says a lot about his exposure in this episode.
The only reason I noticed him, in this episode I noticed him, is because I went. I was thinking, who is that at the same time as they put his name on the screen, and that's the only reason I remember it. But yeah, he shows up for a very quick second, and they name him very quickly, and that's it. They move on.
He looks like if you approached him too quickly, he would just give you his lunch money. Like, you wouldn't even need to threaten him for it. He would just hand it to you automatically by default.
Don't bother me. Like, here you go. It's fine.
I do enjoy the puka shell necklace that was just very popular at the time.
Oh yeah, right around there.
There's on this list of pictures, I think there's 3 puka shell necklaces or 2.
Oh my God, is there
maybe
1,
3.
2?
I can't.
A little hard to tell with the angle, but
some
yeah.
of them.
So at least we're at minimum 12% puka shell necklace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then finally, Tina Wesson, 40 from Tennessee, a personal nurse. Also, it listed in the show, it said stay-at-home mom, and then also I do some nursing, which I felt was
That's
weird. But yeah.
That's a weird way to put it.
Is it like I'm? It has to be something like a substitute teacher or whatever. Like they call you like a travel nurse. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I pictured it like
I nurse in my free time.
Yeah. I pictured it like where they go into people who are sick at home and are hospice care nurse.
Maybe.
But it could absolutely not be anything like that.
Or maybe she just like was a nurse and is currently a stay-at-home mom until she becomes a nurse again once the kid is old enough. I don't know.
That's fair. I don't know.
She felt compelled, like, to be compelled enough to raise her kids that she was going to be a stay-at-home mom, and then goes on the show where she can leave her kids for up to 39 days.
That's also true.
No judgment.
In all fairness,
it's kind of funny.
In a quest to win $1 million.
That's true.
I'm sorry, kids. I'm leaving you. But I hope I come back with $1 million.
It's only for over a month. That's a very short period of time for
fine.
kids.
It's 42 days this time.
It's 42 days?
42 days.
He goes 16 contestants, 42 days.
It's too long. That's way too long.
Also, the last thing on Tina, wherever you are, if you are a waiter, she's already wants to speak to your manager right now.
She's like an OG Karen.
Oh, yeah. No, Tina is the original Karen.
The hair's not doing you any favors on that one.
No.
Okay, so we've broken down the whole cast. We've spent probably more time than we needed to on this, but I still love it. Let's
it's the first
get
episode
in.
of the season. You got to do it.
It's true. Let's break into the episode. Immediately, they jump in with a Australian rescue plane, a military airplane that they are just like hauling them across the country in. There's no real it's as if they were just strapped in, about to be parachuted into the Outback.
And for a minute, I thought they were
abandoned.
I'm sorry.
I thought they were about to be like, "All right, you're jumping."
They could have. They might as well have. Because after that they made him hike like 25 miles.
It was 5 miles, but it
felt like he didn't make them. I guess one tribe ended up hiking in circles, so that's kind of their fault.
It's true, but then they had to carry all this stuff. I want to get to that. But first, everyone looks traumatized on this plane.
Yeah.
Because they're told they cannot speak to anyone. Exactly. Yeah. They can't talk. Like 3 of them are vomiting profusely.
And one of them says later in the episode that they're so tired because it was like a plane from wherever they were from to somewhere else.
Yeah, she was like, it's New York to Los Angeles to somewhere near Australia to another place in Australia.
Yep. And she's like, I've been on like 5 planes, including this one. And I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that they didn't give you any rest between these. All right.
I've done that.
She's on like the super red eye.
I've done Fargo to Denver, Denver to LA, LA to Sydney, and then Sydney to up near the Gold Coast. It's not fun.
You've done close to that, yes. It's
like 27 hours on a plane.
Oh, that's so miserable.
Yep, and
we need through Earth travel. Just go straight through.
Just dig a hole, figure it out. And then also my favorite part of the plane part was Jeff hanging out the back, and they plan it very smart because he's saying his typical spiel, 42 days, 16 castaways, 1 survivor, and then they like pull away. I'm like, Jeff, are you gonna fall off that plane?
Jeff's like, and I'm out of here. Boot up the first robot.
So I was thinking about this logistics-wise, and because I was thinking about the drop, the fact they have a crate there for each of them, and why they had to hike 5 miles. Mm-hmm. So they set both camps on a river, and I'm assuming they put their base camp right in the middle, like the producer base camp.
What we assume is a nice 5-star hotel. Just
I don't think there's a nice 5-star hotel sitting out there in the Outback.
Well, as we learned from episode 1, a place that they can from season 1, a place that they can just build up into a bar whenever they need it.
Apparently,
it's like it's like a 3-star hotel.
That must be the only place they could like land a plane and get supplies and like have medevacs or whatever that I can think of to make them hike 5 miles. But I actually really liked this.
Tell me more.
The stakes.
It used to be a bigger part of the show. Like for a while, it was like, here's all your stuff, get to camp, and it was like a big part of every first episode for a bit. And at some point, they changed it. I don't know why.
I don't care as much about the stuff. Like grab all the stuff you can and take it with you. Like, all right. But the stakes are immediately higher this season than season 1. Season 1, it's like, all right, you're like, he's yelling like, get your stuff together, about Pat and all that. But then they get there, they're kind of like, okay, what do? We did it. And this season, like, I think part of it's casting. I think they did a better job casting this season for people that are going to take initiative and people that are competitive.
Probably. The first time they were like, who can possibly sign up for this? We'll take whoever. Just give it people.
Who won't die was probably their cast, and who like wants attention from what we saw in the audition tapes.
Those casting tapes are out of this world for season 1. Just insane.
But I think part of it's also like this looks so much more dire than Borneo. This looks so much more unlivable. They don't even have drinkable water.
Yeah.
They have to boil it.
Yes.
They give them bottled water. Canned water.
You would assume they would do that or some version of that.
No, Jeff says in the beginning, he's like, you'll have to carry all of your water.
That's really the gasoline canisters, right?
Yeah.
Full of water?
Yeah.
Which is a really weird way to carry water in gasoline canisters, but I guess whatever works.
Wild. But like it really hits the tone that the supplies are much more limited in this season than season 1.
They really went for the survive part in this.
Yeah. And I mean, they had to carry everything those 5 miles, which looked like it sucked. That was heavy stuff.
There was one guy, it might have been Varner, I'm not sure. They were dragging along their bottled water on the ground over the rocks, and I'm like, you only get so much water, man. Like, you should probably not drag that little canister over every rock possible till it leaks.
It was like dragging the canister by a rope.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I kept expecting it to open and just like, there you go, you lost half your water right there.
Not the smartest.
But right away, Deb comes in hot, giving out orders and making everyone dislike Deb.
Yep. Deb's immediately telling everyone what to do. Although, to her credit, though she comes rough around the edges, she was right about several of the things she was saying.
No, you're not wrong.
But terrible at relaying those into any way people will take them positively.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's knowing your stuff, but also the you're missing the personal connection on this. You don't quite understand how to relate to people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Substance 7 out of 10. Presentation 1 out of 10. And Nick apparently can't read a compass.
Too much too fast. Nick, oh my god, I wrote down for Nick. I went like Harvard Nick can't use a compass, and like he must be like the dumbest Harvard student they could have found.
Oopsie doops.
I mean, there's different types of intelligence, and he clearly didn't prepare for. Like Deb says, she's read up. Like a lot of people came prepared, which we don't see in season 1.
No.
Texas
no
flag guy brought a flag for cover.
Smart.
One girl brought a thing she thought she could use to make fire. Like people brought practical items and prepared.
Jerry brought a drum.
Jerry brought a drum.
Jerry brought a drum. That's honestly beautiful, and I want to talk about that. So I'm gonna keep going here. They have to Okafor. Am I saying this right? Okafor. Dang it.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get that right. Okafor, it's true. Eventually I'll get it drilled into my brain, and then they'll merge. So it will be out of there anyway. Okafor has to cross a river Oregon Trail style. They have to carry all their stuff, and some of them are like holding it above their heads.
Yeah, that's why you got to get the oxen. If you don't
true.
get the oxen, it makes it much tougher to make it all the way to Oregon.
You pay the money, have someone ferry you across. You always pay the money.
Yeah. They got
Otherwise,
to the
you're dying
river.
of dysentery like 50% of the time.
It's true.
They got to the river and they were like, "We left the oxen in the plane."
Ah, shit.
That's why it was so heavy.
But eventually, Keith searches ahead and finds it. They get there and they look like they figured it out much quicker than Kucha did.
Yeah, wandering in circles will do that.
Yeah. Whereas Kucha, Varner's struggling. He's like throwing up, dizzy. They really struggled trying to find that camp.
Yeah, I actually, up until the vote, I was like, are we going to get our first medevac in Survivor ever? Because, like, Varner deteriorates over this entire episode. Like, at first...
I mean, although, not towards the end, he's like, I'm good. Like, I think he deteriorates till he pukes on camera, and then he's okay after that.
Yeah.
Is that the first puke on camera in TV history?
No.
Besides, like, sports?
In Survivor, for sure, but that can't be the first one in TV history.
What other opportunities would there have been?
Did no one throw up in the maggot eating challenge in season 1?
Everyone but Jervis loved it.
Oh, fair.
I remember that Jervis like just really hated the idea of it, but everyone was like, "Oh, it's fine." Moving on.
He did it though. He chugged that thing down just slower than who do you lose to? Colleen?
Stacy.
Stacy, yeah, that's right.
This season so far had the eat buggy figs.
Buggy figs.
God. I wrote down actually that Deb is the new BB. And then she goes home this episode. So I mean, it tracks.
It tracks, absolutely tracks. Both camps are on a riverbank, and they get to work right away, but Deb is complaining that Mike is bossing everyone around. I just want to make that clear that Deb is complaining about Mike bossing everyone around.
I will say, never a good idea in a game like Survivor, let alone definitely not in Survivor, to start throwing the accusations around early over who's not doing something right. Like, you never want to be the one accusing everyone, because then everyone just points the finger back at you.
It's true, and it's usually right away
really
if you're
society. Don't be the person going around going like, "You're doing this wrong, and I hate when you do this." And it's like no one likes to be that around that person.
Snitches get stitches. Shut up. Yeah, coming out as trying to be the leader right away is usually detrimental in Survivor. Not always.
Well,
you want to be like anointed the leader just by everyone liking you.
Yeah.
The weird thing is that if I don't know when this season started filming as compared to when season 1 came out, but
I actually know the answer.
Oh, okay. How much did they see?
Season 1 came out in March. And season 2 was recorded in October. So they were able to see, I don't know if they saw the end of the season, because I'm not sure exactly how they played out all the episodes, but they were able to see Survivor. Like, these people had watched part of it.
Great. Okay. So then they just saw the opposite of what we talked about. They saw Rich take charge and win.
Yeah.
Fair.
In fairness, as the only person really playing the game.
Yeah, no, I say that 1,700 times in season 1.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And over on Ogakor, it shows, like you said, Colby using the Texas flag, which is beautiful. Using your luxury item to help stave off rain and to build a shelter. It's so smart. It's so smart. And I feel like that's maybe the reason why they stopped giving luxury items is when you can use it to your advantage that way.
Do you know when they did stop? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Okay.
That's why we have great listeners who tell me things. If you know, send in an email. Josh, I know you know things, not to call you out. But he is a font of knowledge, so thank you.
We see it right away once. First of all, their camps are very sparse. These are just like little hills in the middle of a river. Like, it looks so much worse when it's not a full beach. You're like, oh wow, that is just like desolate.
And you're not getting like the wind you're getting with the waves coming off the beach. You're just getting heat. Yeah. This is the Outback. There's nothing going on.
I am interested to see how much of a toll this season takes on them. The 42 days is a crazy long amount of time, and this is a very inhospitable place. Yeah. But not everyone, but the vast majority of people on this show are already strategizing and already like thinking about how to play and win. And I did not expect such a leap forward so quickly, and I am so thrilled.
Yes, they
Here's the thing with that: don't get too used to it.
Shit.
Yeah, like I said before, strategy kind of comes and goes in these first couple seasons, and
it doesn't help that like a lot of these seasons where you'd think they're learning from the season before. This wasn't an example. Like season 2 had seen, I guess, at least part of season 1. But there are seasons in the future where they're recording one as the other one's on the air.
Sure,
so they just literally don't get the experience from seeing that season.
Fair. But as we learned watching episode 2 tonight, you would think you would learn episode 2 of season 43. You would think you would learn and watch the seasons and learn what would happen for you. But some people just don't. And I'm going to leave it at that. Jerry and Keith butt heads pretty early.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And Jerry already thinks about like, ooh, I kind of got to get rid of this person, huh?
Yeah.
He doesn't like being bossed around by Keith, who then lets her play her drum, which was a really weird thing for him to let her do. It's a really weird way to put it.
Keith spends the whole episode just mansplaining everything. Yeah, and I do like that they said, first of all, the way he was making the fire, he was the one that was using the bow, right?
Yep.
They were doing it all wrong. I mean, I don't know how to do it, but I know that you can't, like, once you get the smoke, you can't pick it up out of the divot
I don't know what
to try and take it somewhere else. You have to get...
once we get the flame, I can bring it wherever. That's not how that works.
No! You have to build it where, like, you have to get a little fire going in there at least. You can't just be like, I have smoke. Yes, now I can transfer this.
That's a good transition. Let's talk about the fire making processes of these two. Ogakor used a cross, what looked like a shoelace tied around 2 sticks in a cross to make that quick rubbing method and try to like create heat down at the bottom and drill into a log or something, whatever they put down there. Keith was pulling. Jerry is banging the drum to the beat of the pulling, and it does not work.
Which, if they just kept going in there,
it might have worked.
It might have worked.
Possibly. But I can only credit them because I don't know what the edit did and did not show. They could have been working on that for hours.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're not getting the correct type of friction, you could just be doing that forever.
Yeah. And you don't want to watch like 2 hours of just people trying to set a fire and failing.
I would love that.
No, you would not.
No,
what is it? Your new, instead of like at Christmas time, the Yule log, you just have someone trying to start a fire.
Christmas time in Minnesota, we don't want to sit outside and try to do that for 2 hours.
Amen.
It's not pretty. Whereas on the other side, Kucha was trying a like scrape method. They had like a hollowed out stick and then another stick like trying to scrape down, and they were putting like sand and dry things in there to try to... I don't know what they thought. It didn't look like a good plan.
Sand, a famously flammable material.
Maybe they thought if you put enough sand together, you just automatically get glass, and then you can use the sun to set a fire.
Ooh,
we did see someone, I don't remember who it was, using their glasses to try to start a fire.
That's a smarter move than some of these processes.
I think it was Alicia, because I think I remember her messing around with those glasses. But also with this
bigger glass
scrape...
to do that.
True. But they've done that before. I know that someone has used glasses to light a fire on Survivor. But Roger's also throwing pages from his Bible to help start that fire. Not scripture pages.
The reason he brought it. I think that's literally the reason he brought it, was to use it as fodder for like fires.
Too. Well, he says, you're right, no scripture pages, but he's like, but I would.
Did he? I don't remember that.
Yeah. Oh no. He was like, but if it came down to it, I would, because you gotta do what you gotta do.
He's like, all right. There's other Bibles.
Okay, but like Dirk would have died over it.
Yeah, Dirk would never let you do that. But there was also some really cute things from his kids in there, like love letters and notes saying, "You're gonna do great, Dad." That was cute. Oh yeah, we briefly talked about the figs. On Kucha, they find a fig tree, and your immediate thought is, "Oh, sweet, we got food. We have this. Yeah, we have an easy supply of food." And Mike just digs in immediately and takes a bite, not realizing that they are full. And they show it on camera. It is full of flies, of ants, of
so I looked
something.
It up. Okay. Figs, while they are growing, it is normal for bugs to get in them. As they ripen, it kills the bugs. Oh. And obviously, these were not ripe yet, because these just have full-on communities of bugs living inside. Yeah, it's so gross.
Disgusting.
That's horrid.
It looked.
Yeah, like if you take like a fig off like a tree and it's fully grown, you will usually find like a dead wasp in there because the wasp went in there, got trapped, and the fig just used it for nutrients.
Huh. Are figs carnivorous?
Not really, but they have enzymes that will devour what's in there and kind of just use it. Like they don't chew on the bugs, but they do dissolve them.
Damn.
Eventually.
Figs, nature's greatest killers.
In Soviet Australia, plants eat you.
Yeah, so they try to eat those, and they continue to try throughout the episode, and I don't know why they do that, because nobody looks like they're enjoying it.
Because they're hungry. There's no other reason.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're like, I would love to eat this, but gross.
But just no, let's not. Please.
I think that
please
probably
don't.
attributed to Varner's pukage later on too. That could have helped.
Yeah, probably didn't help.
Just thinking all day, like I just ate so many bugs. Yeah.
We get our first tree mail, and it mentions the rain. So someone is writing these on the fly. Like, I kind of expected that they had these planned out, and you could like
maybe they switched out one that was like oh it rained, like that's kind of or we need some rain, like we could use that one today. Maybe they don't have an order, but they have them written out in case.
Yeah. I just thought that. I guess. I thought that was an interesting thing that I'd never really clocked before. That okay, we're just we're making these up as we go.
Yeah, like they're just sitting around in their 3-star tent, just going like, yeah, let's write some good ones. What's going on?
What rhymes with rain? I bless the rains down in Africa.
Wrong season.
Australia. Shit, you're right. Although Dan and I did talk about this, I think it was before you got here, that I, in my brain, pictured the landscape of Survivor Australia for this season of Survivor Outback. I flipped Africa and Australia because
it's 2 brutal seasons back to back.
Yeah.
Really.
They're brutal landscapes, but there's a lot more water and foliage in Australia than I expected from the Outback.
And a lot less in Africa.
Yes, a lot less.
I think they did the Serengeti, right? Like, didn't they? Is that where it was in Africa? I'm just trying to remember.
It sounds right. It's just blatantly out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cool. I don't think it makes for the great nature shots that they're used to.
It's funny because I mentioned briefly on season 1 where I was like, people just live here. Like, we're idolizing people for like adapting, admittedly, but like surviving, like where people just live. And Fiji's the like they don't lead into the survival aspect anymore.
Fiji literally has a hotel on another island that they go to and they take showers and hang out.
Yeah. So like it's not much of a part of the show, but like this is actually like, oh yeah, no, you should be commended for surviving this.
Yes, this is literally like, oh shit, someone's gonna survive this. It might only be one person.
I did notice that Kucha's shelter is really good though.
Yeah.
They put together a really nice and spacious shelter.
And they didn't even have the flag, so
yeah,
they're kicking ass right away.
Mm-hmm.
Into the challenge, the first thing I notice out of this challenge is everyone comes in, and immediately Jeff, with his stunning eloquency, sup guys.
He does not know how to host a show yet, and it is wonderful to watch. He is not there. You could tell. But he's just there watching, and like every once in a while, like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. Or someone's going home tonight.
It's like he forgot all of the lessons that he learned from hosting one. he doesn't know how to interact with these people when he doesn't know them personally.
We even see it we see the Jeff bravado in the trailer for this season at the end of the reunion of season 1. We see him do his whole like hosting, being a charismatic guy. And then they get the cast there, and actually the cast was probably already there when they shot that. And he's like, "Hi guys, we're here to play Survivor."
What's up, guys?
Like, dude, I understood it for season 1 because as we kind of talked about, like, it does seem like things were falling apart behind the scenes.
A little bit.
But dude, this is now like the most popular shit in America. Why are you still acting like an 8th grader that's giving like a book report?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting for sure. I was like, I did note that. I was like, I'm not sure Jeff knows how to host yet. Like during the whole challenge, he says like 4 words the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he does not. We're still not at the point where Jeff is
not
talking
narrating
during
it yet.
challenges.
Like now, he just won't shut up. At this point in time, like 43, he's like, "Oh, they get through that. They're struggling on the beam. They're doing this. They're doing that." And here he's like, "We got words coming up on the screen with what he should have said."
Correct.
Like, part 4 of the challenge is this.
Yeah.
Pick it up, this team. You're still in this.
We
Jeff
didn't have any of the
loves
fun
cheering.
edits either that you get today, where it looks closer than it was. This one did not look close at all.
No. And we'll talk about that, but man, they don't know how to make comeback mechanics yet.
Nope.
This challenge is almost a callback to the season 1 opening challenge, where it is a torch race, but they do it a little better than the first challenge ever of Survivor, which was a god-awful mess.
The first challenge was so bad I didn't even realize that it was like, I know it might not explicitly be a callback, but I didn't even put that together.
Yeah.
Because the first challenge from season 1 is so bad.
We try to forget it. But they are playing for waterproof matches and the new immunity idol, which I will give them credit. It is a step up from the season 1 immunity idol.
The new immunity idol, now 60% less problematic.
Yeah. They use Aborigines techniques where it's a lot of lines, it's a lot of different colors, there are some dots, but it is still a caricature. I'm not saying that right.
Caricature.
Caricature.
Close, if nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah, of a person.
Yeah.
And I am excited for you to see the season 43 idols.
Okay.
They're actually very tasteful.
42 is really cool.
Once they have the art department working on it, not just Jeff in his basement, it probably happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least it's the bar's in hell for this, but for these immunity idols for season 1 and 2, at least this one, it's a little bit of like problematicness is on the right continent.
Yeah, well,
Season 1 is racist towards black people while being set in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I think that's why they went to Africa. They wanted to kind of rectify that and be racist in Africa.
There you go.
People next.
Oh, that season's gonna be rough, isn't it? With that, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Probably. I honestly, I'm confusing it with Australia in my brain sometimes, so we'll see.
Yeah, those two lump together for me too. I'm obviously, because I watched them back to back within one day, likely. I'm struggling also to figure out like what happens in which season with the right people.
But yeah, it's a fire relay. And Jeff again has to explicitly say that if your torch goes out, you lose.
Except they don't.
It goes out and they don't call it at that point.
Yeah.
It just keep going.
Yep.
I think they saw it as it's gonna happen either way. The other team was so far ahead they didn't even have to worry about it.
I thought I heard it wrong. I was like, they just have to go like relight it. Like,
that's
nope.
exactly what I heard too. And I went, okay, so they lose, but then
That's
they
it.
kept going. But then they actually won the other team. So okay.
Yeah.
Which also, like, editors, you could have just cut that part out. Then we didn't need to hear that if the fire went out, they lose, because it didn't like. It's now just confusing.
Editing
Or-
was definitely a different process back then too, because you were actually like cutting tape together.
Yeah.
At that point in time, you don't have the digital editing that they get to have.
That's
in
a
the
good
last
point. Thank you,
15
Dan,
years now.
for bringing that into my brain.
At
because
least 15 years, but this is obviously before that.
this was split into 4 stages, and I probably can't even tell you the 4 stages because it all blurs together.
I think the first is denial.
No, they cross a broken bridge. They use like boards to get over a broken bridge. Essentially 4 different ways to do the same thing to get over water. Using a pulley system to pull yourself over on a raft.
One of them was just like honestly, you have to walk in the water and move the raft.
Yeah. It's a very Legends of the Hidden Temple challenge.
It is, and I appreciate that.
It was very. The challenge was very pretty, and it looked like it was intricate while being incredibly simple and linear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then at the end, you get to build a ladder.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which is why Okafor just runs away with it. They get ahead, and then there's just no way for the other team to come back. Eventually, they tip their raft, and their torch goes out. So, like I said, it should be over, but we just keep going.
Yeah. It's like, they won with a time of this, and you forfeited. So,
yeah.
So good job.
Cooch is the one whose torch went out and also lost.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So Okafor runs it up, and they light their thing, and it's great. But the big thing they lit it up with fireworks, or they set it up with fireworks, or somehow that when this certain area gets lit, it lights up in different colors, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I think it might have been different, like colored, like different chemicaled wicks or something like that.
I was wondering if the ones, because we see Okafor wins and they're green, and like the insides of the legs light up green. I was wondering if like it would have lit up like the other side of the legs blue if the other tribe had won.
I don't want to give them that much credit. I don't
know if that would have worked. Maybe they would have shot it from the other side and used that shot that showed the blue. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But either way, I feel like it's not a great idea, because if you liked that challenge, you're now burning down your props for the next time you want to use them.
Yeah.
But I guess they're not taking them out of Australia anyway, so who cares?
I don't know a lot about Australia. And I guess it did rain the night before, but I'm just like, knowing about wildfires now, I'm like, hey, should we be lighting that whole thing on fire in the middle of the bush?
I don't know if there was honestly enough shrubs around that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Catch fire.
It was by a riverbank, so they at least had water in the area, but not
I know
they
point. Have a wet and a dry season, so I'm like, this has to be the wet season then.
I mean, you saw rain. It has to be the wet season.
Yeah, fair enough.
Post-challenge, they're at least talking.
They talk about the votes.
They immediately get back and they talk about voting, and they talk about who they want to get off. Deb's throwing Varner under the bus.
Yeah, she's like, Jeff wants to go home. And then it gets back to Jeff, shockingly. Yeah. And he's like, I didn't say that.
Why would I want that? Why would I come here?
If I wanted to, I would just tell them I want to go home.
Yeah.
Deb really, like, I think they were all going to vote for her anyway, but she really screws herself over in this. Deb is a tryhard.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I wrote, like, played hard way too early.
Yeah.
Like, she did not realize this is a marathon, not a race.
When she's all, like, studying all the camping books, she says it in her outro speech, where she's like, I did every single thing right. Like, she was worried about doing everything to perfection rather than, like,
I think the cast is better off that she was gone early, just because she seems like a really annoying person to have around for
I agree.
42 days.
But you kind of hit it on the head that, like, she has this plan. She read her books. She knew how to start a fire. But doing it in practice and doing it in a game with people judging your every move are way different. Sorry, you can't read a book to tell you how to talk to people.
How to make people like you.
Yeah.
Read this book and follow the exact instructions.
Okay. Yeah, and then they go on their brutal hike to Tribal. There are jagged rocks. They're walking uphill.
They're like help each other like down like big like rock faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the 45 minutes like season 1 was, but it looks like a heck of a hike.
It's not fun for sure.
No.
I mean, they clearly did it for the scenery, because this Tribal is beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Like,
I mean, Jeff, that's the only thing. He goes back to host mode for this one. He's like, you can see here, we've got this great view of a waterfall. Like, that's the one thing he was like ready to say for the whole challenge that he couldn't say because he was waiting for the fucking tribal, I guess, to talk again.
He's like, I'm gonna say the waterfall thing. No, yeah, like this whole, it's stunning. Like this whole tribal setup. I'm just like, I was like, oh, this is special.
I feel so bad for the sound guy though. That must be a nightmare to try to mix out, and also helicopter going across.
Yeah.
They're showing aerial shots of them dipping the torches in. So, good luck. Good luck.
I have
anybody.
no idea how they got the sound for this season, and honestly, a lot of the seasons, like early on, like they do a great job. Whoever the sound guys were, they got a lot when you shouldn't have been able to get anything. So, good on them.
Props to you, sound guys.
That might
They've
be
probably
why
gotten promoted by now. If not, they deserve one.
there are several times during season 1 where I'm like, why didn't we see X thing that they talked about? Mm-hmm. That's probably why.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's sound issues.
Sound issues and also no way of shooting it. And they were like,
Yeah.
oh, well.
The bridges look rickety going across both the exit and entrance and the over to the voting booth. All of them just look like they're going to collapse under the weight of
They
anyone.
have to have tested those or possibly made them over like to make sure they were safe. Like, there's no way.
I'm sure
the
they
risk
were
can half your
reinforced.
cast.
Yeah.
OSHA does not reach Australia. It's fine.
But also, the voting booth still looks too close to everyone. Like, they can... I feel like they definitely could hear you if you spoke up at least a little bit in your confessional.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That is always like a weird thing. It's like, I mean, I guess people are whispering and they just boost the sound level.
Sure.
But like, sometimes you're like, they have to at least like be able to tell something's going on, or like you're saying, like, especially like when they have weird stuff later on, like you have to be able to tell like this person didn't just like, boom, that's it. Walk away.
Did they consider for this season, do you think, when somebody gets voted off, we can just like boot them off the cliff face 300 style?
Just kick them off.
I think that's another one of those violations that you don't want to kill people on the show because then you don't get to make more seasons.
Yeah.
That's true. Doesn't make for people wanting to sign up for a season 3.
Would also make it hard for the returnees.
Or be one of the 15 dead.
I think I just turned Survivor into the Squid Game.
Oh, you did?
You see, the thing about that was it's a fictional show.
Doesn't have to be.
I don't mean to spoil Squid Game for you. Not a reality show.
Shit.
Not yet.
That's true, but it won't be fun when they make it a reality show because they can't kill anyone.
That's true.
Because the entire fun part of Squid Game is that you would die.
Theming wise, I'm sorry. I just keep jumping in to try to keep us on track, but
No,
we're
please,
always way
please.
off track.
That's fine.
It's just how this episode or how this show works, and even with 2 people instead of 3 people, we get off track all the time. Theming wise, they did a really good job with this tribal council. Even the snuff is like a big rock. I'm sure it's carved out to look the way it does, but it looks great. And Deb completely gets swept 7-1. Doesn't see it coming.
She was
Somehow.
blindsided somehow, even though everyone knew it was coming.
And so they're still not stacking the votes.
No.
Because Jeff goes as far as this, even though it is 7-1.
I
Jeff
think
goes,
again that's an editing thing where they went like, is it worth it? No. Okay.
We'll see if they do at any point in this season. But Jeff is just still saying is weird. Like, there's no need for us to read the rest of the votes.
Yeah.
After he's done reading the votes that are in there, but. Yeah, 7-1. She even knew it was 7-1. Deb did. She's like, I bet you would have opened up the last 2 votes, and then me too. Which is a weird level of self-awareness for somebody that doesn't understand where they went wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deb makes a good point about tribe strength in tribal, though.
Okay.
About like getting rid of her is not the greatest move strength-wise, but also it's very unaware of the like, hey, this is a game and these people have to like being around you.
Well, and also, like, I don't really see... I mean, I guess Roger's weaker than her, but she doesn't go after Roger.
No.
And I'm not sure Kimmy has any strength. She's mostly just energy. But I don't know if it's any actual challenge strength or as a part of that.
I don't know. I could see her being, like, having the energy, like sure she's not gonna like lift something heavy, but just like being able to like that motor just keeps going for whatever you need if it's any type of like race or anything like that. But Roger's like the only person I can look at and go, yes, you are definitely weaker than Deb. Like it's just too close for I think strength to matter in this vote.
No, but all you have to do is throw Kimmy under the bus and say this person is obnoxious, this person is keeping us up at night, this person doesn't like is hard to be around. That's how you move the conversation onto someone else, but Deb doesn't think that way. Deb is a different kind of game bot where it's I have the skills, I just need to use them.
Yeah, pragmatic to a fault, I would say, where she's like, oh, Jeff has vomited, therefore Jeff must go home.
Jeff must leave.
Or Varner.
So you're saying like she has caveman brain.
I mean, I'm sure she's intelligent in her own way.
Yeah. So it's very intelligent, just not good at putting that into
social use.
Yeah, we've been talking forever, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. Deb post Survivor Deb felt blindsided and took this as very personally.
Oh.
We'll see it in the reunion, but
that's probably why I thought she was on more Survivor because she's in the reunion.
Yeah. There's like a slight breakdown in the reunion, and what it doesn't show is everyone like hugs her and comforts her in between.
It was nothing personal. It was no one like hated her. Hated her. She was a very easy first vote off though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like, there's a lot of personal things in her life. I think this is a person who was not prepared for the media blitz that was gonna happen. And being the first person off, I think is tough for anybody.
You mean when everyone's watching on Super Bowl Sunday?
If you're not prepared for it, it's gonna be tough for you. And I think it was tough for her. So I mean, I'm gonna leave her alone. Like, girl did her time. Girl doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. So that's fine.
Fair.
Okay. Yeah. No real where are they now, and that's very respectful.
Yeah.
As far as how she'd do in today's Survivor, probably pretty much the
Equally well.
same. Yeah, equally well. I don't really see her getting on the show in a modern Survivor, to be honest.
No, she doesn't have the right, I guess, personality level you'd want you want someone like that has some fun thing about them or who's going to be a great competitor on the show, and she's got neither.
Yeah, she'd probably be more suited for like an actual survival show. Someone that's going to like
one of those
prep
like
and be ready, like Naked and Afraid or
I can see that. I can see that.
Although
Survivor didn't know what it was back in the day too. That was part of the problem.
True.
Like Survivor didn't know as a show what they were.
Yeah, no, for sure.
My parents love the show Alone. Essentially, yeah, you just go off and you live in the wilderness until everyone else quits. That's it. That's the show.
I could definitely see her playing that one.
Yeah, you're protagonist of the episode.
You know, you guys all said that you guys were all a little down on her, but I think it was Kimmy. I mean, it was going to be somebody from Kucha, right? Because that's who we see the most of. Deb was not. Deb did not drive the action this episode.
Did Kimmy have the most interviews too? Like she had the most little, like, side, whatever they're called, asides. I don't know.
Confessionals. Yeah, we got the most.
Yes, that's it.
We got the most of her. And, you know, it's hard on the first episode. Steve and I actually talked about whether, like, you know, how behind the camera, like, you know, if we wanted to keep this bit. I do. Season 1 was kind of wishy-washy at times because there were not assertive people in that cast that weren't named Rich or kind of Sue. But this season has a lot of assertive people. I think the first episode's just hard because it's literally just meet the cast. But Kimmy, I think, did the, like, kind of had the most screen time.
You call them protagonists. My friends and I, when we watched, we called the winner's edit. Who's getting the winner's edit this episode? It's just fair. It's like, oh, we're learning so much about them, and they're a constant piece of what's going on. They have to have won, right? Like,
yeah, normally
it's almost never the case because most of them just like they're just doing all the things in the episode, so that's why you're seeing them.
I try to make the protagonist of the episode the person who drives the action that we see on camera the most in the episode.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the person who's getting the most favorable
Gotcha.
edit. Sometimes it's the person who went home and it's for unfavorable reasons, but they were the protagonist.
They were the storyline
yeah.
you're following.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, that'll do it. Let's wrap up the episode with a bumper. That'll do it for this episode of the Survivor Turning Back Time podcast. This is our first time with 3 people. This is fun for me. I enjoy
cool.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
Big
my
shout out
first
to
time doing
Dan.
this with 3 people too.
It's true. You got a good point there. Big shout out to Dan. Dan, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me. I guess listen to the Unranked Podcast. If I don't say that, I'll get yelled at.
Yeah, if you're into video games, Unranked Podcast, I've been listening for many years at this point, and that's how I got connected with Dan. Great podcast, a lot of fun. Go listen to them. Jared, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I want to plug removing League of Legends from your computer.
That's a good plan.
It's a bad game for toxic people.
I have a similar situation with Call of Duty. Also, just bad people with a bad community. Just
They have shared interests.
Call of Duty
It's true.
is the Jocks League of Legends.
However, it's a lot of fun for me to go on to an absolutely raging group of people yelling and screaming at each other back and forth and tell them, this game sucks. You guys are awful people. And to watch everything turn onto you, it's great. It's a beautiful moment. That'll do it. Thank you so much for listening. For my co-host Jared and for our special guest Dan, I don't know how you're going to wrap that one and try to spin it back on me. Bye-bye.
And for my host Steven and my co-host Dan, bye-bye.
Insanity.